This video is about, title is I love ground fighting when. So I love ground fighting when I'm doing it with my lover. Somebody that I'm very attracted to, that I have absolutely no problem sharing my personal space with that person, and it's an extremely enjoyable experience. It's an amazing experience. Working those types of techniques to me is very intimate, and shouldn't just be shared with just anybody. I understand the context of doing it for survival, if you're doing it with another man and, you know, to learn certain techniques, that's fine. But pretty much all the techniques that you do on the ground, you could do standing up. So it's really unnecessary to spend so much time down there when you don't have to. Ideally, the ideal situation is when you're setting up a class for ground fighting, is to pair up, man and woman, because the woman, that's the most practical and the most useful type of training for them. Not woman on woman, but woman on man. So Ronda Rousey, doing ground fighting with another woman is not practical for either woman, because more than likely it's going to be the man that's going to be trying to dominate a woman, subdue her, rape her, take advantage of her. So ground fighting, you know, this video is a way to kind of bring out the other side of ground fighting that's very important, extremely important. Not to complete the video from that I made the other day, because that's only half of the truth. The other half of the truth is that ground fighting is very important for women, because it is a real threat they're going to be raped, or they may be raped or taken advantage of. And the man doesn't want money for the woman. The man wants to have sex with the woman. So, if he's forcing himself on her, then it's going to turn into a ground fight. That's practical training for the woman. And this type of training is so close and, intimate, that, there could be problems, associated with it. I mean, if a woman has a boyfriend and she's doing this type of ground training with another man, it could bring upon a lot of jealousies. And same token, on the other side, if a man has a girlfriend and he's doing this type of ground training with another woman, it could create a lot of jealousies. So this type of training is meant to be a private type of training, to give a woman, skills for survival. So it's not supposed to be like mass advertise, hey, look at what we're doing, but this is the type of necessary training, and this is the training that I love to do, with my partner, my girlfriend, just basically conducting this type of training. It works to the benefit of both parties. It's a very comfortable situation for the man, because, I mean, what else is better than being so close with the woman in that way? It's an enjoyable experience for the man. It's an enjoyable experience for the woman. It's a practical experience for the woman. And for the man, he's just basically serving to be, the test dummy, for the woman. And as she gets better, then it's gonna help him get better too, because it's gonna be harder and harder for him to be able to, win the confrontation every single moment, if she keeps getting better and better. And we live in a world that is, in a culture particularly, that is very sexually repressed. So um, I think a lot of times people may use this MMA and you know stuff like this as a way to kind of express maybe some of these unhealthy sexual repressions. And it is something that could be quite a concern for the martial arts. I mean, because um, there are people out there that take advantage of other people. They're out there. Whether or not you want to believe it or not, they're out there. So they could be using the martial arts as a context to take advantage of other people. So um, there could be situations where you know a man or whatnot could be using um, this ground training in MMA as an excuse to get closer to children and stuff like that, for example. And that's not something that is healthy for society. Um, there are like pedophiles out there, for example, um, who may use the ground training as an excuse to get closer to children, um, and call it MMA. You know, um, I just feel that a lot of pretty much a majority, 95%, or if not more, of the training should remain standing up. There's no need to train 95% of the time on the ground, because everything that you do in the ground you could do standing up. You could do all the arm bars, you could do all the chokes, you could do everything that you need to do standing up. A very small percentage of the techniques you need to be on the ground. you know um, but when you conduct that type of training, it's got to be you know more discreet, not so all out in the open. Hey, everybody, watch us do this, and let's have an amazing time while we do this. I mean, this is not something that you want to do often, but you need to know it, and practice it with the right people. I mean, like finding a dance partner is like that is an can be an intimate experience as well. Um, it's like you don't want to just dance with anybody and have them all up in your space, all up close to you, within kissing distance or whatever the case may be. I mean, you want to be selective with your partners. So that's kind of what I'm saying with this ground training. Be selective with your partners and practice it all you want. I mean, that's the way that I feel it should be done. You know, um, and I also feel that within this culture, there's there is repressions that could come out, and having this type of ground training, the MMA, to be an excuse for these repressions. A lot of hidden repressions. In my opinion, um, it's just something where I feel, um, everybody's gonna do what they want to do. You know, everybody has that right. But this is just my honest assessment of what I feel comfortable with. I mean, because honestly, I don't feel comfortable willingly, um, doing all sorts of ground training with men, because that's not what I feel comfortable with. But other men may feel comfortable with that, but I don't. You know, um, those types of close quarter contact to me should be saved for people that you share intimate experiences with. You know, so and if you do conduct that type of training, with men or women, it shouldn't be like all exposed for the public to see and just basically mass advertised and mass marketed it the way MMA is. Stuff like this should be more private, you know. Um, it's just how I feel about it. You know, it's something where the techniques, they are very close and intimate. You know, and what makes the most sense is for you to do that with your lover, and to perfect that type of combat training with your lover. You know, spend 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years perfecting that type of combat training with your lover. So basically what I'm saying, if you put it into the UFC context, it makes much more sense for like Ronda Rousey and McGregor to do ground fighting like all day long. You know, she's gonna get better, he's gonna get better, and then they're gonna have a great time together. It just doesn't make sense for McGregor to be doing it with another guy, and with Rousey to be doing it with another woman. You know, essentially, that type of training could bring men and women closer, and it creates love. You know, it creates compassion, it creates gentleness and control. Like the man will learn to not be too rough on the woman, to teach her. You know, it's just all wrong right now. Men ground fighting men, women ground fighting women. No, women should be ground fighting the men. You know, this is practical training. You know, and this will create strong bonds between men and women. You know, it's like not all women should be practicing yoga and then no men. I mean, men need that training as much as the women, if not more. You know, and not all men should be practicing martial arts and then no woman. Women need that training as much as the man, if not more. They need to come together and train together and harmonize. You know, ground fighting is, you know, I love it as long as you're doing it with someone that you're close to and intimate with in that way, or if you're not intimate with somebody, then somebody that you have that special connection with, you know, where the woman doesn't feel like you're invading her space, and then you enjoy doing it with the woman that you're engaging with, not somebody that you're grossed out by. You know what I'm saying? That's, in my opinion, the best way to conduct the ground training. The best way to conduct the ground training is for me to have couples in here. And even if it is man on man, they like that, you know, they're, you know, homosexual, whatever the case may be, then they are best to work with each other, you know, because there's love there, you know, and there's the sharing of that close space. There's going to be no inhibitions and nothing, you know, to basically, they both feel comfortable with the situation. Or man and woman couples type of training is the best way to conduct the ground training, you know. And as a last resort, you know, just doing it with another, you know, another person, but it shouldn't be very, it shouldn't take that long to basically show what needs to be done and then just get back up. I mean, it's like, to me, I think about like eating. It's like, you know, we eat at the dinner table, you know what I'm saying? Like, we use silverware, we use dishes. How often are we gonna eat off the ground, if at all? You know, you don't want to do the ground training, you know, fighting for your life, unless you absolutely have to. Like, if I'm out there in the streets and some guy wants to take me down to the ground and try to kill me and execute me, I have absolutely no other option than to handle the situation. But as far as training is concerned, to prepare for something like that might happen, I have full control over the situation. So there's no need to continuously conduct into this ground training of whom you do not share that comfortness with. And when you share that personal space with somebody and that intimacy with somebody, that is the best person to conduct the ground training with, is your lover. And just practice that. You could practice that all day, every day, and just go at it. And then you can learn to master those techniques. That's the proper way to do it, in my opinion. And as I stated, I mean, it also is the protection for the children out there that practice martial arts. You don't want, like, um, people to take advantage of other people in the context of the martial arts and trying to use MMA as an excuse. Because it doesn't even have to be children. It could be fully grown adults. You know, when so much of the training is revolved around the ground, you gotta be careful with that because there's there's an immense amount of contact, and not everybody feels comfortable with this sort of contact. Like all these sort of intimate positions. Being on top, being on the bottom, and wrapping your legs around the person, and stuff like that. It should be done with the right person. And in a way, I love the ground training as long as I'm doing it with the right person. But if I'm not doing it with the right person, then I absolutely hate it. It's the worst thing in the world. It's like going into jail and getting raped. I mean, that's like the worst thing that could ever happen to a man. You know what I'm saying? And you want to do everything you can to stop that. I mean, because honestly, if there's some guy that's trying to rape me, I'll kill him. Like, there's just no, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just like a woman, if a man's trying to rape a woman, then she has the right to kill him, because this person's invading, your space, invading, just overpowering you, and just basically, a lot of people would rather die than get raped, honestly. So this is serious stuff when somebody's pushing up on you and trying to rape and kill you. That's the worst thing that could happen, pretty much. And you gotta do everything necessary to stop that. But I see it as an evolution of the martial arts to bring men and women closer with one another through ground training. It's a perfect way to develop intimacy. And I'm all about love and intimacy and compassion. So the ground training is just something that should always be conducted in a very discreet way, in privacy, and with intelligence and willingness from both parties, comfortness. So I'm all for that type of training, but it has to be conducted in the right way.